Hello everyone, I am Aditya Sharma. Welcome to Mature Mindset. Today we are going to talk about Rich Dad Poor Dad. This book has 20 topics and 9 chapters. In this book, Robert talks about his two dads, a rich one and a poor one. He actually didn't have two fathers, only the poor dad was his biological father, and the second one, the rich dad, was his friend's Mike father. The rich dad taught both of them how to get rich, and that's why he refers him as his dad. In this book, we talk about both viewpoints of a rich man and a poor man. So we start with 20-year high insight. 20 years ago, this book was a warning, a book of lessons about the future. In this chapter, he explains how his predictions came true. He talks about 11 important topics, but only 4 are important. First is rich don't work for money. The second one is savers are losers. The third one is your house is not an asset. And the fourth one is the rich pay less taxes. Further in this book, we talk about how he proved all of these right. Introduction. In this book, we talk about the mentality of both dads. A very important line he says is 1. The rich get richer, the poor gets poorer, and the middle class struggles in debt. Is the subject of money is taught in home and not in school. He talks about how he gained valuable insight into the power and effect of one's thought in one's life. For example, his poor dad has a habit of saying, I cannot afford it. But his rich dad had a habit of saying, how can I afford it? His poor dad used to say, when it comes to money, play it safe. But his rich dad used to say, learn to manage risk. An interesting sentence, the author said that the difference between being poor and being broke is temporary, poor is eternal. It's all about the mentality. Now we come to lesson number 1. The rich don't work for money. The poor and the middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them. The rich buy assets, which generates cash flow. The poor and the middle class buys liabilities, which they think are assets. For example, rich buy assets like real estate, stocks, which generate cash flow, which generates an income from the money they earn from their day job. The poor and the middle class buys liabilities, which they think are assets. For example, your house. Many people think that your house is the biggest asset you have. First of all, the meaning of an asset is that it generates income or it has capital gains. With time, its value appreciates. Now you say, my house the value does appreciate, but you have to sell your house to get that money. After you sell your house, where you will live? That's why your house is a liability. The second thing on lesson number 1, the author talks about is fear and greed. How fear and greed ends up taking a person into a rat race. I will explain how. First, the fear of not having money. This fear lets people work very hard in their normal job, and after the greed sets in, greed or desire, same different words, same meaning. When the greed or desire sets in, you imagine where all you can spend that the lovely money you earned, and you end up buying liabilities. And as this habit grows on, you end up borrowing more and more money, and you end up having a lot of debt. And now you struggle in a rat race where you end up going to work, spending all that money on liabilities. Now you have a lot of debt. Now you bought liabilities which you cannot afford. Now you have to work a lot more. if you have to solve this, you need to be financially educated. That's what this books teach you, how to be financially educated. Chapter number 2, what is financial literacy? In this chapter, the author, Mr. Robert Kiyosaki, teaches us the difference between asset and a liability, why you have to be financially literate to be wealthy in life. He talks about what is an asset. For example, an asset which puts money into your pocket, and a liability is which takes money out of your pocket. It's very simple. He also said that you can be well educated, very successful in your job, and still be financially illiterate. 90% of this population have this problem. They're not financially literate. They end up being in the rat race even though they earn a lot of money. You need to control your emotions, you need to control your fear and your desires. Financial literacy is knowing what is an asset and what is a liability, and you only buy assets. This is called financial literacy. Now we go on to chapter number 3, mind your own business. What the author meant is, you need to keep a daytime job. From that daytime job, you need to buy assets and continue this cycle. The more and more assets you create, the more and more cash flow you create, your income ends up multiplying, compounding in further years. And we need to stop buying liabilities we think are assets. We need to keep our expenses low, reduce liabilities, and diligently work towards generating and buying and building assets. Few examples of assets are, first is business that does not require you. It can be run by people, run and managed by people you hire. Second is stocks, the stock market. Third is bonds, the bond market. Fourth is real estate, income generating real estate from rents. The fifth one is notes, IOUs. The sixth one is royalties, patents, and the seventh one is anything that will generate income for you. And one bonus point, acquire only those assets which you love and you understand. There are many things that will make you money, but if you understand and love the process, you will end up generating a lot of income while being very, very happy. For example, the author loved real estate, author loved buildings. So he was very successful in acquiring real estate and end up making a lot of money through real estate. Keep that bonus point in your mind. Chapter number 4, the history of taxes and the power of corporations. This is a very important chapter. The biggest secret of rich people are they play it smart and they do it through corporations. Corporations are those things which end up saving rich people a lot of taxes, and I tell you how. And one more thing I want to add, it is a common sentiment that the rich needs to pay a lot of taxes and help the poor, but in reality the middle class and especially the upper middle class ends up paying more taxes. And I will tell you how. The reason why the upper middle class and middle class pays the highest taxes is because they cannot control it. And the rich, how they save their taxes, first they earn money, then they route it through their company, XYZ company, whatever you want to name it, and then they spend that money and whatever things they want, and whatever is left, it's taxed, and it's mostly nothing. That's why they pay very less tax than most of us. It's done by simple accounting techniques such as business expense, for example, business expense, depreciation, amortization, and many other things in accounts where they use these tools to save tax. Chapter number 5, the rich invent money. In the real world, it's not the smart who succeeds, it's the bold one. In this chapter, the author teaches us about how the rich educate themselves, how they are financially educated, and they invent money out of nowhere. For an example, what the author Mr. Robert Kiyosaki did is they had a tax incentive if you buy more expensive property than your previous one. If you have $100,000 property and now you buy a $200,000 property, there was a tax incentive. So what he did is, instead of buying a new building and not selling this, what he did is he used to sell the old building and end up buying an even expensive one. So he used to save taxes, and this tax and money saved is money earned. This is one of the examples how Mr. Robert Kiyosaki saved taxes and earned money. There are 4 main financial skills we all need to learn. First one and the most important one is accounting. The second one is understanding the law. The third one is understanding the markets. And the fourth one is investing. The 6th chapter is about work to learn, don't work for money. Job security means everything to his poor dad, but learning new things meant everything to his rich dad. Mr. Robert explained us through an example why we should learn new skills and how it will help us succeed in our life. For example, he told in his book is, he was once interviewed by a lady about how he sold Rich Dad Poor Dad and how it became a bestseller. Through that interview, she asked Robert how she could also have a bestseller book. She wrote one, but she doesn't know how to make it a bestseller. Mr. Robert told her to just learn sales and marketing. That will help her. But the interviewer got offended because she said that she had a master's degree in English literature and she would never do sales and marketing. She thought sales and marketing is something poor and lower class people do. She packed her bags and went away. She was just 2 skills away, sales and marketing. She was just 2 skills away from having a bestseller. That's why always learn everything. Don't discriminate in learning. We should learn newer and newer things in this ever-changing world. That is the only key to success. Chapter number 7, overcoming obstacles. The primary difference between a rich person and a poor person is how they manage their fear. The 5 main obstacles we need to overcome is fear, cynicism, laziness, bad habits, and arrogance. First one, overcoming fear. The author said is, no one likes to lose money, but he never saw a rich person who never lost any money. We need to learn to overcome fear by learning new things. And the next thing is cynicism. Cynicism means simple. Cynicism meaning, it means a person believes that the other person is purely motivated by self-interest. Author said is, we need to stop listening to people who don't know anything about that investment and start learning from people who actually know what they are talking about. They should be expert in those fields. A simple line the author said is, cynics criticize, winner analyze. The next is overcoming laziness. It's pretty simple. It's pretty self-explanatory. Next is overcoming bad habits. The author said is, we need to control how we spend our money. We need to stop overspending. The next one is overcoming arrogance. Many people use arrogance to hide their ignorance. I'm going to repeat myself. Many people use arrogance to hide their ignorance. You will always lose your money because of your arrogance. You need to start learning new things. Learn how to invest, learn how to do accounts, learn better and newer techniques, courses. Chapter number 8, getting started. Gold is everywhere. People are not trained to see it. Mr. Robert, the author, gave us 10 steps to awake our financial genius. The first one is find a reason greater than reality. The power of spirit. Have a deep-seated emotional reason. We need to make a list of wants and don't wants. Becoming rich isn't easy. It requires it requires a lot of hard work. That's why your list of wants need to be higher than your list of don't wants. That's why your wants will always motivate you to be successful. Second thing is make daily choices, the power of making choices. The author said we need to make well thought out and correct choices every day. We need to make a choice to learn every day. The third one is choose friends carefully, the power of association. This is a very important point. The third one, choose your association. It says if you want to be rich, associate with rich people. If you want to be poor, associate with poor people. Your association decides your future. And why your association decides your future? It's very simple. If you are in a group of people who talks about investments, bonds, earning more money, spending it in the right way, you end up being in an atmosphere and you think just like that. You end up being more wealthier than you would have. And if you associate with people who have a poor thinking, they always spend on liabilities which they think are assets. They overspend, they end up being in a lot of debt, and they don't have dreams, so will you. So, number one thing, and very important, associate with the right kind of people. Fourth one, master a formula and learn a new one. The power of learning quickly. We need to learn newer and newer skills in this ever changing world. The more we learn, the more we earn. The fifth point, pay yourself first. The power of self discipline. Simply, the author said is first you spend on buying income generating assets that will multiply your money, that will compound your money in the next coming years, and the money which is left you end up paying for the bills. Mostly what happens is if you're short of money, start cutting down on your expenses, reduce your liabilities, and if after all this you still don't have money left, you need to learn a new skill to increase the money you earn, so that you end up building assets, plus you have your self discipline to spend less on things you don't need, plus now you earn from two ways, plus you end up having assets that grows in value eventually. Pay a broker well, the power of goodwill. Sometimes, especially in real estate, what Mr. Kiyosaki taught us is we need to associate with the right kind of people, and in real estate there are brokers. The brokers are someone who is every day 100% in that business of buying and selling real estate. So you need to pay your broker, the person who gives you information, very well. The reason behind it is if you pay them handsomely, they will end up bringing you more better and better real estate deals which you would need. But not every broker will do that. You need to analyze, you need to take an interview or understand that if he is capable of it or not. You might lose your money, you might save your money, but in long term, if you have a good broker and you pay him well, he will help you earn more money than you ever thought. So pay your broker well. The seventh one, be an Indian giver. The power of getting something from nothing. The Indian does not mean the Indians, it means the Red Indians. The author meant is whenever you buy a real estate or something, try getting more from what you eventually thought. Maybe like a free plot, maybe like an extra piece of land, maybe some freebies that you might like. Get the best value out of your money. The eighth one is use your assets to buy your luxuries. Power of focus. From the money, instead of buying luxuries and good things from your salary or your earned income, you need to acquire assets that will pay for your liabilities, so that you also have your income plus your investments pay for your liabilities, so that the cash flow goes on and your wealth eventually increases. Now you have all the luxuries you could have, and plus you're still earning more and more money. The ninth one, choose a hero, a power of myth. By having a hero, we tap into their genius. We end up learning from them because they make it look easy. They inspire us to try also. The 10th and the last one, teach and you shall receive, the power of giving. In simple, he said is the more you give is the more you get. जितना दोगे उससे ज़्यादा मिलेगा. Now we go on to chapter number 9. If you still want more, here is something to do. The last chapter. It is a very important one. There are 12 things which we can do. The first one is stop doing what you're doing and assess what's working and what's not working. The second one, look for new ideas. The third one, find someone who has done what you want to do. Learn from them and take tips and tricks and learn from their mistakes. The fourth one, take classes, read and attend seminars. The more you learn, the more you earn. The fifth one, make a lot of offers. Search, offer, reject, negotiate, accept. All are the parts of process to learn everything in life. Now the sixth one is jog, walk, run or drive to a certain place where you want to invest or are planning to invest in real estate for at least 10 minutes. Learn about how the locality works, how things are, how the market is, what is the sentiments. If there are lots of people who want to sell, if they are desperate to sell or if they are not, if they are very desperate to sell and if their properties are on sale for a long time and they couldn't sell, so you can negotiate even more and take a better deal home. The seventh one, negotiates in all investments. Learn to negotiate and get the cheapest price when you buy something, and always negotiate. The eighth one is look into the right place where you invest. The ninth one, look at people who want to buy first and then look who wants to sell, so that if there is already a buyer, you can go, and if there is already a seller, you can end up buying that asset for a cheaper price and then selling it to a person who wants to buy it at a higher price. You end up making a lot of money through this simple process. It's simple. First find a buyer, then find a seller, and then buy the property from the seller and then sell it to the one who wants to buy. The 10th one is think big. And the 11th one is learn from history. The 12th and the last one is action always beats inaction. The last and the final thought is educate yourself about money. There are actually 3 types of income. The first one is the earned one, then there is the passive one, then there is a portfolio one. The earned is your job, your salary, your business. The second one is passive income, mostly from real estate. The third one is portfolio income, which is mostly stocks, bonds, etc. The third and the last one is learn how to save taxes through corporations. That's a very important topic Robert explained us. And the last is first you earn, then you invest, and then you spend. Don't. It's a very wrong thing. First, most of the poor people, what they do is first they earn, then they spend, and mostly there is no money left to invest. That's why they always stay poor. Be disciplined, earn, invest, and then spend. Thank you so much for watching this video. I am Aditya Sharma signing off, and this is Rich Dad, Poor Dad summary.